Hello, New Wave of British Heavy Metal.com here. Today is a big one, big day. Been eagerly awaiting the delivery of this one for about 3 months, I think, since I pre-ordered it. It is the mighty Gillan, oh yes, and marvellous 7 CD box set of all the Gillan output between those 4 years that they were that they were around. Before I ramble on about it at some length, probably because it's great, please subscribe to the channel because that would be big helps get the word out, and there are hundreds of videos on the channel for you to check out about all sorts of bands. But back to this, it is a phenomenal box set of the Gillan output over those glorious few years that the band was active. It is simply a must-have for anyone who, as I was around at the time and remember what a great band they were, or for anyone who wants to know what proper classic heavy rock is all about, if you weren't around 40 odd years ago. Now we know the history, don't we? I don't have to go over this too much. It's the 1970s. Ian Gillan leaves Deep Purple, forms the Ian Gillan Band, which surprisingly goes in a sort of a jazz rock fusion direction. Perhaps Spinal Tap got some inspiration for Jazz Oz's Odyssey from it. I'm having a few tongue twisters today, aren't I? Who knows? But the jazzy stuff didn't go down well. The Ian Gillan Band doesn't last long and disappears. And Ian, of course, then next forms a band simply named using his surname, Gillan. Easy, right? And gets back into the proper stuff. It's the late 1970s. I think he was at his vocal peak during the Gillan years. I think peerless, untouchable. Well, the whole band was, but that we'll get onto that in a minute. So in this box set, it's 7 CDs, comprises all the band's albums with all sorts of bonus tracks. There's a comprehensive booklet as well, which has a history of the band and all sorts of photographs. And it's encased in a 7x7 inch packaging and a slipcase, so it sort of looks like an old-fashioned single, but a really thick one. So what we got, running through the albums, first one is what became known as the Japanese album from '78. It was only released in Japan because they were finding it difficult to get a release anywhere else, and it does lay the foundations for what would follow, and it's such a fine album on its own 2 feet. Do albums have 2 feet? Anyway, so some of that Ian Gillan Band jazzy stuff can still be heard, and it is a bit patchy in parts. However, it does show enough to indicate that Ian's back on track and the band's got some legs. On this album, Colin Towns is outstanding on keyboards, and the keys merge well with the guitars, which really that would be a signature sound for Gillan, wouldn't it, on future albums. In particular on this Japanese album, you've got that brooding, atmospheric, slow building and burning Fighting Man, which was written by Towns, and a couple of monster swirling rockers in the Abbey of Thelema and Back in the Game. An album that shows much promise. Next up came the first real album, if you like, Mr. Universe, 1979. That was with the classic lineup of Ian Gillan, Colin Towns, Mick Underwood on drums, John McCoy on bass, and Bernie Tomei on guitar. Proper rip snorter of an album, this, isn't it? Huge sound, Ian's even bigger vocals. Tomei tears it up on guitar with that distinctive style of his. You know it's Bernie Tomei instantly, don't you? And it's hard to pick out a standout here because, well, they all are, aren't they, on this one? It's a solid big album. It sold big, and your then teenage reviewer was there to witness the band on tour. Great times. They followed it up with Mr. Universe. They followed up Mr. Universe with Glory Road the following year, 1980. I had another visit to see them on that tour as well. How good they were live. Glory Road, another killer album. What you got here, just to pick a few out: Unchain Your Brain, No Easy Way, On the Rocks, all pummeling away. Tremendous stuff. They weren't a band to take a breath, they kept busy. Future Shock came in 1981. Now this is my personal favourite Gillan album. In my opinion, it's a bona fide classic from start to finish, of like biting heaviness with a sense of humour. You know, like no laughing in heaven, anyone? Right? That's quite funny, isn't it? But on this album, the title track, I think for me, sums up Gillan and what the band was all about in a few minutes. Short, sharp shock of the Torme riff. Towns on the keys swirling it up, backing up the guitar. Underwood's bashing out the drums like there's no tomorrow. McCoy's thumping bass, and of course Gillan's busting his lungs. What a track! So that's Gillan in a few minutes. After Future Shock, Torme left, and the signs were starting to appear that things might not be all too well in the camp. But they had a ready-made replacement in the shame of Yannick Gers. Yes, that Yannick Gers. We all know him, don't we? For what he did subsequently. He quickly came in from White Spirit, who had supported Gillan on tour, hadn't they? And he fits in nicely. And later in 1981, Double Trouble came out. A double album, a studio one, and an album of live stuff. Gers fits in really well on Double Trouble, another fine album. However, it did seem that things were getting a bit tense in the band, and the release of Magic in 1982 would bring a bit of a dip in quality. It's not a bad album, but it's not the best. But that'd be the end. You know, that final show at the old Wembley Arena, and that was pretty much it. But over those 4 years, those 4 busy years, Gillan have plenty to show for it, and it's all now available within this fine box set, so it can all be enjoyed again, as well as being nostalgically reminisced about by us old gits who were there right from the start. For a 7 CD box set, it is, at the time I record this, on the 1st of March 2025, it's nicely priced. I paid around £33 pre-order, and it arrived from the good old Big A yesterday on release day, and I spent the rest of the day just listening to it, all 7 discs in sequence. Right, what an evening. But say for 33 quid, as it is 1st of March, it's just irresistible stuff. Snap one up before it's too late or the price goes up, and discover what for me is Ian Gillan and indeed the band's finest work. Or if you're not discovering it, you're reliving it like I am. Marvellous stuff. Link to it on Amazon below if you want to go there and get one. And well, you should. You really should. There's nothing not to like here. Other thing to do, if I can ask you in, that's is if you would please subscribe to the channel, because that would be outstanding if you do that little favour for me. And I thank you for watching and listening, and please take care.